It's been a few years already since I attended my first ever Psychedelic Society event during the time I was living in Amsterdam. Marta defines herself as a well-being and health optimization consultant. And I mean, she's the co-founder of the Psychedelic Society of Netherlands, and that's where we met. That's what I mean. Taken from her website, she has an MSc in Cognitive Science, post-MSc, and academic research on persuasion techniques for healthcare and well-being. 2 years of guiding psilocybin travels, one-on-one sessions, was helping to open one of the first longevity clinics in Europe, half a year of work as an assistant facilitator at one of the most prominent legal psychedelic retreats in the world. I personally find her quite an interesting character, so I asked her if she would be willing to have a conversation on the show. She said yes, so enjoy. Right, welcome to La Red de Micelio, the Mycelium network for the English people watching us today. Today we are gonna have an English conversation. I have the pleasure to have. I'm gonna do my best. She just showed me how to say her name, Marta Kaczmarczyk. Am I right?
Yeah.
Welcome, Marta.
Really good. Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm really happy to be.
Yeah, nice to be invited to your podcast.
Yeah, same. It's a pleasure to talk with you. We met last time probably more than, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one of the events. And I think you are a really interesting person with a really interesting background as well and the things that you're doing, apart from the psychedelic world. So I would love to know more about you and your work, and then let's see if it's going to be interesting for people as well. All right, let me start here. I read your bio on your website. And it talks a lot about physical health problems that you had. Can you tell us more about that? Like, which problems did you have, and what is that? What drove you into this kind of work?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh wow, yeah. It's a deep question in some way.
Let's start just about the fact. Like, you had some.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have physical problems. How was that?
So I've had I had like health issues since I was born. I had
what is that?
I had severe digestive issues since I was born.
All right.
And in a way, yeah, like that kind of shaped me who I am, and it kind of it's been a thing of my life, like a kind of like a leitmotif of my life, to find ways how to feel better. And also, like, at some point, like, once you also like look into your health, then you start to look into like like what are the best ways. I started to look into like health optimization and improving my health even further. It kind of like from my weakness, I created my interest and my strength.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Also, I guess that drove you into all this kind of work, like the biohacking and the optimization and all this stuff. Do you know what was causing it? Was something genetic, or there was something?
It's a great question, and I think like I'm one of those people who still are waiting for some it's like answers.
Really?
I have some. I did some tests, so like maybe I just say like the place where I work, it's a longevity medicine clinic. Which means that we do preventative medicine and health optimization. So we use like state-of-art tests, health tests, and all kinds of different diagnostics. So thanks to it, I was able to do some really like innovative tests. And then I found some answers for myself, and I feel like now I feel the best ever, because thanks to those answers, I could kind of repair my health issues. Unfortunately, I wish it was like available for everyone. It's like in modern medicine, but still, many of those tests are really expensive. So and you need to do a lot of them to like kind of get some answers. So yeah.
Okay, but it was more on the physical side. No, I ask you because the last person I was talking here with, the last podcast, Claudia, she's really into spiritual stuff. I know you are too. And I thought we were talking about the link, the connection between the body and the illness is in the body and the spirit. No, do you see anything there for that, or more purely physical?
Yeah, that's a great question. In a way, I do not see things as like separately physical or spiritual or like or emotional. I feel like it all comes together in a way. So like, for example, in my case, like definitely not being fully healthy, especially as a child, like having like health digestive issues that affects your brain, that affects how you learn, that affects how like your physical performance in some way, that affects like your who you are. But like then like the very often like family has expectations, society has expectations on you, and everyone treats you like you're a healthy person. So that can also create a lot of emotional problems, that you're pushing yourself beyond your capabilities. Then it creates sort of like emotional dynamics in family where, you know, it's like the family denies, doesn't want you to like, doesn't want you, they don't want to see you as a like a person that needs help, because that requires from them some sacrifice or like work, you know. So
wow, okay.
You know, there's like can be a lot of going on, and it's on so many levels. It's not only like physical, but there's like emotional, and there's a societal level. And for some people could be also like the other round, where like, for example, maybe they grew up in a family where there's so many expectations that this creates physical illness. There's so much stress that that can create physical illness. And yeah, to untangle all of this, you kind of need to address all of those sides. Yeah.
I used to think like you can go only a spiritual side, and now I believe you can go all the ways. I got understood, and it makes sense for what you're saying. Like the digestion, the stomach has to do with digesting experiences in life, no, and especially with relationships. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
There's also like something that's called epigenetics. So which is we inherit certain genes from our family. But then normally all those genes are like, not all the genes are activated. Our genes activate depending on the environmental requirements. And that's called epigenetics. So you kind of, depending on expectations on you, like your genes, certain genes will activate or not. And then, so yeah, you inherit certain genes. If you live in a stressful environment, probably like bad genes will activate, because there's like kind of, your system cannot, it's kind of assumes that's like a stressful situation, and genes required for surviving stressful environments are activated. So yeah, there's so much more to it, you know. It's like, it's not only on us. There's also like we receive kind of like a baggage from our family, from our ancestors, and
wow, okay, it makes sense. So you inherit these genetics, but doesn't mean you gotta either enjoy or suffer there at the moment. Maybe it will be activated by our context, no? Okay. Really interesting. Epigenetics is also, I read somewhere, I watched some video that you can actually affect the genes, you can change or something like that. Is that the study?
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of like, you have interaction between your environment and your genes. So your environment informs your organism, like what kind of genes should be activated, what kind of genes are required for your survival. So yeah, it's kind of you can deactivate or activate your genes
Right.
based on your environment. That's why, for example, like in longevity medicine, one of the core concepts is lifestyle change and like healthy lifestyle, because with a healthy food and loads of exercise, you inform your organism that you live in a healthy environment, and you kind of, so like you enable good genes to activate.
Okay, so what you're saying is not only the environment, but it's also what we ingest from the environment that
Right.
gives
Yeah.
message to the inside. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because your behavior, you kind of act in the environment, and the environment dictates your behavior. So, like now we have abundance. Now we have so many choices that in a way we are more in control with how we inform our body about our environment. But in the past, for example, people would have a draft season, and there was like not much they could do. So like the environment would inform the organism that there's drought, so there'll be less food, or it was more kind of like happening on its own. But now we live in times where you kind of consciously inform yourself about the environment, and you can choose in a way like whether you inform yourself about like the healthy environment, or or whether you eat processed food that has little nutritional value.
Wow, but I find that fascinating. So it means you can actually, let's say, it's not like you're gonna trick it all the way if you're in a really awful environment, but you can potentiate or decrease the quality, let's say, of how much your environment is affecting you, right?
Exactly.
With the choices that you're making.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's in a way, like you can increase the chances of activating good genes by having healthy lifestyle.
All right. Wow. I will ask you later for the work that you're doing in this is new in the world place, right? But we will get there. I want to change a little bit already the conversation. I wanted to ask you. You are the co-founder. I will explain on the intro. But you are the co-founder of the Psychedelic Society of Netherlands. And that's how we actually met. Can you explain us how do you start the Psychedelic Society? How that happened?
So again, that started with personal story.
Okay.
I've been interested in psychedelics for a really long time, for more than 20 years. And then I had some experience more in like a recreational settings, like in nature with friends. And then at some point, like retreats started to be fashionable. And some of my friends went to some retreats, and they were recommending me, and they were saying like, yeah, it's a great experience. You can learn so much. So I decided to go on a retreat. And I did, at that retreat, I did 5-MeO DMT.
On the retreat?
Oh, yeah, shit. There was a retreat with 5-MeO DMT, followed by Psycholohuasca on the next day.
Oh, Psycholohuasca. I heard about this. It's like, for the people watching, is a mix between psilocybin, so the psychoactive compound in magic mushrooms, and ayahuasca. Ayahuasca itself, or not?
No, it's usually they combine it with a substance called Syrian rue or Peganum harmala. So it's a MAO inhibitor. So like in ayahuasca, you have two plants. One is DMT plant, and the other one is the MAO inhibitor.
Okay.
So Psycholohuasca kind of is similar. If you combine MAO inhibitor with psilocybin, it actually connects it to like DMT. Like psilocybin breaks down to DMT, so you get sort of similar effect as ayahuasca, but yeah, it's slightly different. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's
So you
it's a
went to
very
this retreat.
intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very intense retreat,
Okay.
and yeah, it was a bit too much for my nervous system.
Okay.
And I had like a very confusing experience, and after retreat also, I kind of, yeah, I went into this like a derealization period, which lasted for around half a year. And I knew that something is off, and I tried to talk with people about it in the community, but I couldn't find anyone with whom I could talk to. And I really struggled to like integrate the experience. And there was no community psychedelic proper like a community psychedelic community in the Netherlands. So
Okay.
I decided like maybe, yeah, I have this need to talk about this. Maybe I should set up the organization myself.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was coming
And
from
they,
that.
yeah. And I knew Stephen Reed from the UK, because the UK had the first psychedelic society in Europe. So I talked with Steven, and he connected with me with another person in the Netherlands who also wanted to set up the Psychedelic Society.
Okay.
So yeah, this is how we started.
Wow. So it was coming from a need to connect. Something similar actually to when I started the YouTube channel.
Right.
I also felt like I couldn't share that.
Mhm.
Were you still, because I believe, I'm pretty sure I went also through a period due to, well, let's say not so positive psychedelic experiences of derealization, depersonalization. People, I don't think understand how how to say how hard is something like that. I don't know how it was for you.
Mhm.
I remember looking at the ground or looking at my hands like, is this real? Is this a video game? I don't know. How was for you? How did
Yeah.
you experience that?
Yeah, luckily, I don't know. For me, it wasn't that harsh.
Okay.
Anyway, I had exactly what you just described, but more like my interpretation was more like a dream. So I just
Mm.
felt like I'm in a dream. And
In a good way, you mean? Like, oh, I'm
yeah,
dreaming.
yeah, yeah.
Why?
Like and luckily, that was like I was in all of this. I was lucky
Yeah.
that somehow I interpreted this in a positive way.
Okay.
So for me, I was just like floating in this like weird dream where reality was like symbols. Yeah, I just started to feel like meaning everywhere and symbols everywhere,
So,
which was great for a while, but then it just became very confusing. And at some point also like it was really difficult for me to have like a normal life. And I couldn't solve, like I was really unable to solve my problems, and eventually it all kind of collapsed, like kind of like all my problems like collapsed on me at the same time. And yeah, that period after wasn't pretty. But
yeah,
the realization wasn't that bad for me. It's yeah.
I can imagine. And would you say would you say it's like your energy is ungrounded, like you are not really connected
Mhm.
to this physical world, so you are more, I don't know, on the third eye or something like that, on the spirit world? Would you say that?
Um, yeah, no, I don't know. I interpreted this in a like a spiritual way, but yeah, I had no idea. I just felt like, yeah, I kind of in a way it's felt for me that's like maybe I just like what I experienced opened me to another way of seeing, and that's yeah,
Mhm.
that's like another that like this is the reality is a dream, and I just now see it in some way, you know.
Do you
So
still think
there
that?
was a bit of no.
No? Okay.
No. Yeah, and how was I'm actually curious, how long was your the realization period?
Well, I think over, I don't know, 9 months or something like that.
Wow.
It was just we took motion the day before taking the plane to go to Netherlands actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, a lot of changes and by myself, and that was hard to. I felt like I had to put the pieces together
Right.
again in my brain.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it can be very confusing. It's yeah, there's a nice this like a name for it, which some people call it ontological shock. that like
Ontological is like meaning?
Yeah, which means that like your kind of the way how you like make sense out of the world, it's totally changes, and it becomes so different that it can be really stressful and confusing. And also like, yeah, like for example, in my case, I felt like that was like a story that was just really like I created the story to understand that experience, but it wasn't like useful for me, and yeah, it wasn't positive for me.
Right. So how did you get out of that state? It was because I love when you say like that's not how I interpret it. So there's a lot of power in the meaning, right? That we give to those experiences. Did you change the meaning that you were experiencing, or how do you shift that?
Well, I think that first of all, because I think that the experience was also caused on the physical level, like caused something in me on the physical level, that my nervous system got overwhelmed. That somehow the retreat experience was so shocking to my nervous system that I just got into this derealization period. And actually, I once met a person who told me, like, who had very similar experience to mine, like also like positive floating, like there were so many like similarities, and also it lasted for half a year. But interestingly enough, that person's experience started because their brother died, and it was like a really terrible death. So like the stress of the brother dying caused that derealization. So for me, it's like a good analogy that, yeah, like psychedelic experience can be equally stressful, that it puts you in can put you in a similar state. Like you just disconnect. So yeah, I think that my nervous system just it's like eventually recovered. Also, like I started therapies. I started somatic therapy, and that really helped me. So yeah, I resisted therapy for a while. I thought I don't need it, but then eventually I realized I do need it.
I think it's always like that at the beginning. Like, no, I don't. I'm fine, and the people around you like, maybe you need therapy. No, 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 no. But I also see that, because I have understood. I never tried the 5-MeO, but this is not such. I think even on a physical level, it can be deadly, right? Like it's something serious to be taken on. And we're talking like you were actually on a retreat, so I suppose like it's a safe environment, and I don't know. Ideally, they help you integrate and stuff. So if that happens to you there, I can't imagine people just taking DMT on their house.
Yeah, it was also like in 2016, and like majority of people who were serving 5-MeO DMT in Europe, they weren't reasonable people. And I didn't know it because there was no information about it on the internet. People weren't talking about challenging experience yet. So yeah, it was a time when people started talking about psychedelic therapy and like how great psychedelics are, and no one was talking about the challenges. So yeah, I had no idea what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. It's really can be detrimental. Actually, I have a question here for you. Are you more like Timothy Leary in that sense, or like Terence McKenna in the sense of, would you put like LSD on the current water for everyone to be enlightened and help the world, or do you think it's more like a calling? Like not everybody should do it. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh my God. I feel like I'm neither of them.
Where are you? Where are you in the spectrum?
They both, for me, like two figures that like with high narcissism and traits, and I'm definitely don't want to be compared to neither.
No,
of
not
them.
compare, but where do you see yourself?
Or like see myself as
No. Not to be compared.
But no.
Do you think my question is, do you think everybody should not should, but like is for everybody? Psychedelics are for everybody?
No, definitely not. No, it's I'm kind of the person that's like, if someone asks me like, should I do psychedelics, I usually say don't.
Now you say don't, and
Yeah.
you have in the Psychedelic Society.
Yeah, but my kind of like the main reason why I set it up was to talk about challenges and to have a community of people who need to integrate, to inform people who want to do the experience, like inform about the risks. So I've actually been talking a lot about like the potential risks. I gave a talk during Breaking Convention in 2018 titled Potential Side Effects of Psychedelics. So yeah, I've been like a person that's been trying to talk about challenges for a while. Yeah.
Much needed, actually, I think, in this community. As you said, after, I don't know, it's been a boom and everything is great, and actually no, can have many problems. So,
yeah, we still, it's like we still don't fully understand how they work, and definitely there's a potential. There are people who like like went to clinical trials, and those trials really helped them. So there's definitely a potential, but yeah, we don't know who, and there are some people who even in the clinical trials had like severe side effects.
Really?
Like
I didn't read those.
even people.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like there were people who started to have suicidal thoughts. Yeah, there's like a minority of people, but even in clinical trials,
can happen.
This can happen. Yeah.
When would you say it would be optimal for someone to decide to take these substances? If they decide to.
Right. Yeah. I would say, yeah, like I would say that first of all, like if a person wants to take the substance, they should ask themselves a few questions. And like the first question will be like, why? And like, because there's so many people who are like, they're desperate because they tried so many things, nothing works. But there are some people who just want to do it because there's a hype, and they heard about it, and yeah, they think it's like an easy way out of how they feel. So in a way, like there should be questions like, how is your lifestyle? Like, is your life stable? If your life is unstable, why is it unstable? Because maybe it's unstable because I don't know, maybe you don't have undiagnosed ADHD or something like this, It's like maybe you actually require medical help. Maybe you should go to a doctor and talk about, it's like, that's like my life is unstable, or like I'm depressed.
Refer them more to, let's say, normal therapy, no?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, first explore like what is going on, because maybe there's like conventional medicine can help you. Maybe you have, like so many people have undiagnosed ADHD, for example, and ADHD, if you don't know how to manage it, that can push you into like depression or anxiety.
Do you have ADHD, Marta?
I don't have a diagnosis, so yeah.
But you think so?
I have suspicion, but yeah. Okay. I don't have any diagnosis, so
yeah, I see.
Yeah, but I definitely, in a way, what I do now, and I think that's also like something that people could try before like looking into psychedelics, is to like look into accepting yourself, like seeing your limitations, realizing like what are my limitations, like what can I do in life, and then trying to like figure out your life around those limitations, instead of like trying to be someone else and like push beyond what's possible for you. And then like if you ask yourself those questions, then maybe, you know, it's like doing microdosing or something. You can try it and see how it works for you.
Yeah, but I understand. So probably the best would be like not to go there. So I understand if it's your last chance, like you don't know. I think, Marta, I think we lost you.
Issues.
Hi. Yeah, I lost you for a second. I was saying, so basically going to conventional therapy, and if nothing actually works, maybe consider doing that, no?
Yeah,
in safe
yeah, and
environment.
also like small doses. Like if someone really wants to try, I would say try to microdose. But yeah, in a way, like people say, like a lot of people in this community say, yeah, like SSRIs are bad because we're trying to medicalize,
Right. What do you think?
you know, stuff. But this is exactly the same, you know, like if you don't know what's up with you, and then you just try to take psychedelics, yeah, it's in many cases it's not going to help you. Maybe it's going to make things worse. So
right. I watched a video the other day from your mate Tom. He's a YouTuber. He speaks about psychedelics. He said like taking psychedelics for mental health is like trying to sharpen a pencil with I don't know in English, a big serrucho, you know? Like if you are really skilled, but normally you are not if you are in that position, right?
Yeah.
So you can create a lot of harm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's like I kind of like briefly discussed, we have a really great immunologist at the center where I work. And he hasn't like just so like it's not informed. It's just kind of like a hypothesis, and it's just like we're just theorizing because he hasn't read papers on psychedelics. But we try to discuss, like I told him, you know, it's like psychedelics increase cortisol levels and like they change body temperature, and you know, it's like the heart rate and stuff. So it can be a really stressful experience. And yeah, he said from the perspective of immune response and immune system, this for some people it can be really harmful, like such a stressful experience. Like if your immune system is not working well, it's overwhelmed, then putting yourself into more stress can just make things worse.
Yeah, I was remembering actually, I asked you for help during the pandemic that if you remember, I took LSD.
Yeah.
And I was my nervous system was, I'm sensitive by myself already. And it was like super, and you gave me some tips. It was really helpful. But I can see like, because normally people say, and I used to think this, like, no, mushrooms or psychedelics doesn't have like physical harm. They don't harm you physically. Okay. But can harm you mentally, psychologically, or spiritually, and that's going to have an effect on your body. So, you know, if I believe nothing is real and I interpret it, I give it the meaning like I'm going to die or something really bad, I'm going to feel bad in my body. My body's going to start releasing cortisol or whatever. I'm going to have problems. So I wouldn't say it's so benign for sure, even physically. Actually, about
that's a great point. You know, it's like I always like to give a bit of like more like a more analogies or something like this, like so people kind of understand this. So in a way, like if you like a lot of people who are depressed, they're barely capable of doing their normal stuff. So a person who struggles with going to work, and then they decide to take strong psychedelics, and for example, on the psychedelics, they will have an experience of dying. Then think you're not able to work, but you think you're able to go through experience where you think you're gonna die, you're dying. Oof. You know?
I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. Although I can see also it may be some benefits into impacting your depression, depending where it's coming from, right? But maybe if you die and I don't know, you see light for the first time in time, maybe you will recover and a little bit at least, or temporarily, and you will do your work better. Or maybe you realize you don't want to work there actually in the first place, you know?
Right. So, which is not necessarily always a good choice, because sometimes, you know, it's like also like there's so many stories of people who quit their job. And then they're like, oh, well, actually now I have no money, you know? So it's not always like a,
no.
choice.
Of course, 100%. What I mean more is like maybe you realize you don't like it and you are depressed because you are going there and you are forcing yourself. Doesn't mean like you quit tomorrow. You know, maybe you take your time. You talk about actually I went to film. I think the last time that we met, I went to film. You were giving this talk on the regulating the nervous system. And can you talk about, well, it's really broad actually, but like, what is the connection between the regulating the nervous system and the psychedelic experience? I don't know how. I send you there.
Okay.
What you can do with that?
In a way, I wish there was there were studies about that that would look into how psychedelics affect the nervous system from the perspective of like stress. Like we know there were some studies that discovered, like where people discovered that there's an increase in cortisol levels during like peak of the psychedelic experience.
Really? That's a study, like it's being studied. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like there's increase in cortisol, increase in body temperature, and increase in heart rate.
Okay, because I saw, excuse me to interrupt you there with just a second, I saw some studies that they were saying like it's a recurrent thing that that we experience, the people taking the psychedelic may experience some anxiety at the beginning, right? Like it's going up and we know it, we feel the anxiety. So it makes sense, right, for the cortisol. Continue, please.
There's definitely like it shows that even on a physical level, the experience is stressful for you. And then like obviously that stress can be even exacerbated depending on what's going on. Like some people have like calm, very pleasant experience. Some people have bad like challenging experience, and that is even more stressful. So now it doesn't matter like what kind of experience you had, you experience some stress, and then it really depends, like your nervous system has this capability of sort of like going to stress and then recovering and then bouncing back. That's like what healthy nervous system does. But if you don't, like if your nervous system is out of balance, it's not resilient, then maybe that ability to bounce back is not so much there. And maybe that psychedelic experience, maybe it's too much for you. And then your nervous system doesn't know how to bounce back. Like it's too overwhelmed to bounce back. And then you can get stuck either in anxiety or in depression. Or in derealization, like in some sort of state that's not kind of like your balanced nervous system state.
Yeah. Okay. That makes total sense, you know, because as in my own experience, even as we say, like they can help treat PTSD or, you know, mental illnesses or trauma. How I see it is like you take it, you have the experience, you are opening yourself up to that trauma, to that pain in all levels, right? But then let's say you gotta close it properly. Like if you don't close it properly, and maybe on a physical level would be like restoring your nervous system, and you are not able to do that by yourself because maybe, I don't know, if you are stupid like me and you take it and you do whatever by yourself, you don't actually have that ability. It's re-traumatizing for yourself. So it makes sense. I didn't know actually it can create the cortisol, but it makes sense.
I would say like even taking your experience as an example, in a way, like if your nervous system is out of balance before, then you take psychedelics, and then it is really difficult to integrate and to like bounce back. It doesn't matter whether you took it on your own or not. Like what you ideally want is to balance your nervous system, like teach some resilience before you take psychedelics,
right,
So once you take it, your nervous system has the capability to bounce back. Because if you do it in a way, it's kind of like if you're like sick, slightly sick, or like super stressed, and then you decide to run a marathon, then you're also gonna be like exhausted after. You're just gonna be wrecked or burnt out. So it's kind of similar, it's like any stressful, if someone's like on the edge of burning out, then any stress is just gonna like dig you, like put you deeper into burnout.
Yeah. 100%. And also, I would that maybe you agree has to do with maturity as well. Maybe resilience of your nervous system has to do with that. I don't know, but
well,
don't you think?
I think let's go back to I'll talk about this in a minute. I just want to add something also, like going back to the effect of the nervous system.
Yes.
There's like, I recommend reading a newsletter by a person called Jules Evans. He's a head of challenging psychedelic experience project at Imperial College. And he focuses a lot on challenges in psychedelic experiences. And he wrote a really great article where he's analyzing whether like challenging experiences are similar to PTSD. So like he concludes it's probably not PTSD, but like in a way to give you the sense of like how serious that it can be, is that sometimes people can experience something that's very close to PTSD after intense psychedelic experience.
So what is close to the PTSD? The psychedelic experience itself, you mean?
It's like challenging, not all of them, obviously, because like people do bounce back, but like if someone goes through really intense, challenging experience and their nervous system, it's not able to bounce back, then you can actually put yourself into a state that's similar to PTSD.
Right. That makes sense. If you don't actually, if you can't resolve that, in all levels, psychologically or physically.
Right. And going back to your question, like how can you like improve your nervous system?
Well, I was saying more like if it has something to do with maturity, because I see also when you are not mature enough and you take these substances, I don't know, it has to do with your nervous system or what it is, but it leads to a lot of, I don't know, ungrounded behavior maybe, or messiah complex or things like this.
And could you clarify for me what do you mean by maturity?
Yeah, it's hard to, how would you explain maturity? I don't know. Maybe it's that self-regulating nervous system. So maybe it has to do with resilience as well. There's a component. I don't know. Like when we talk about maturity, it's like you are actually responsible about your action or your emotions or things like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a thought there. I don't know if it has something to do.
Yeah, because for me, I think that's what you just said. That's kind of, for me, what maturity means, that like you're emotionally mature where you take responsibility for your actions. And
but it's also, there's something how you see the world, I don't know how to explain, but like maybe there's a certain respect about other people. There's a certain awareness of consciousness of where your, I don't know, where your body starts, where the other person freedom starts, things like this. I don't know if it has something to do, but something
I think it's one of the components for sure, because if you're like like I think like being emotionally immature is probably easier on your nervous system than being overly mature where you take responsibility for everything, because that's very stressful. So like having a balance to like, where is my responsibility, where is others' responsibility, so you're not too stressed about that. But there's also like lifestyle component. The more stability you have, so like if you have a good diet, if you go to bed at regular times and sleep well most of the nights, if you exercise, then your body, the whole body is working well. And then, yeah, like your stress resilience is better. There's genetic component. Some
as
people
well.
just, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Some people are, it's like, for example, athletes. A lot of athletes actually have like excellent stress resilience, and usually that's genetic. So yeah.
Yeah, don't you think it's also, well, I guess also because they train
Yeah,
so
it's
much,
all,
right? But they
yeah,
are specific,
you
that's why they're there
yeah,
probably, right?
exactly. You don't become an athlete if you don't have a good stress resilience. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I never was an athlete and I do sport now every day and I had to work on that resilience. But I guess what you say,
Mhm.
like, well, there's a limit, we all have limit. We don't like to think this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but there's limits and it's not. I saw somewhere there was a study that on your genetics will affect you differently, the psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah.
also makes
Oh
sense.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, stress resilience. It's all the whole body and also environment. It's all yeah, it's really tricky because
Yeah.
it's like if you're sick, then your stress resilience is really low. If you take too much on yourself and you're constantly like on the edge of burnout, your stress resilience is low.
Mm.
Yeah, if you don't have a good diet, if you
And
don't sleep
also,
well.
don't you think? I really believe also has to do a component with community. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I say
Yeah,
like I take him
absolutely.
by myself. I don't mean only with a therapist, but like I don't
Mm-hmm.
have, like you said, like I don't have a group of people that we can come. I tell you this crazy story and you
Mm-hmm.
accept me as I am and you give me a
Yeah.
hug. It's more like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, I have to deal with this and society don't understand me. I cannot share it
Mm-hmm.
anywhere. Now it's different, but back
Yeah.
then it was like that. So I think that's a really big component. So how would you,
Yeah, you're so
for the
right.
people, right? For the
Yeah.
people watching, how can we work on this resilience of the nervous system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like the easiest way would be to improve your lifestyle. Also, yeah, in a way, like yeah, this like what you just said, it's like extremely important also. Um, because in a way, there are people who are lucky who have a bit like more freedom in terms of like expectations on them
Mhm.
when it comes to like societal or like family
Yeah,
expectations. So, like people in mostly like in Europe, Western Europe or something, they usually have like more freedom because they have enough like resources. But there are people who have like big families or, they're like don't have good jobs or something and their capabilities are really limited
yeah,
to improve their situation. So it's also like very like societal cultural thing.
mm.
So we can like in a way like one of the things we can all do is to like try to find acceptance of where we are,
Mhm.
and try to just like work with our limitations and capabilities. Because if you try to push yourself beyond, then this is stressful. Yeah, and for some people that means like sometimes maybe asking for help or like just it's
Yeah,
like trying to like not to do less or something. Like yeah, it's really challenging.
yeah. But I how I understood, and let me know if I'm wrong. For me at least, resilience builds up when you are like going to this limit, but not
Mm.
overgoing, and then you have time to recover. Okay, and then it's like
Yeah,
it's like building muscle, right? Like you
yeah.
break down the muscle, and then it
Hmm.
comes back, but little by little, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the psychedelic when you are like that is like, I don't know, you never went to a gym and in one day, like you said, you
Mm.
did I don't know, 20
Yeah.
kilometers marathon. You're never going back
Mhm. Yeah,
to
yeah,
the gym.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But it's like I think I feel it's important. Like what we're like, we have like ideal scenarios and like realistic scenarios. So like in ideal scenario, you have a person that has a time and space to work on themselves. So
Yeah,
for that
of course.
person to improve like stress resilience would be like, yeah, just it's like stabilize your life as much as possible. as much regularity as possible. Surround yourself with great friends, it's like with good community, be a good community member yourself.
That's also important, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just bring people to your life. And what about you?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You need to become a better person also.
Yeah.
Eat healthy, all these things. So that's kind of like, we need to remember that's the ideal scenario. Because like in most people's realities, it's like, many people don't have like money. They don't know maybe they don't know how to make good friends. Maybe they want to contribute to community, but they don't know how. So yeah, it's easy. It's all like easier said than done. Just understanding like ideal scenario and maybe like how you can just kind of take a piece of it and change something. It's like you don't have to change all of it. Anything helps. Yeah.
How do you make friends, Marta?
Oh wow.
It's funny. I was thinking about this today, this morning. Like I was thinking, like, okay, when you need friends, let's say there's things in life that you can always influence, but there are things that doesn't depend on you. And I was thinking, like, okay, you want these people in your life, but like, okay, you can put yourself out there. Doesn't mean that you're gonna find them or they're gonna like you or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like what you just said, that's like people, you put yourself out there, but so many people will not like you. I think that's an important part. That's like not everyone needs to like you.
yeah.
So yeah, I definitely, for example, like I made lots of friends actually by setting up Psychedelic Society.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And yeah, like but also like learning that not everyone needs to like me, and people who like me, they will stick. And then I should just put my effort and time and everything into people who stick and who are like, I can trust them, I can rely on them. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, you've been 2 years of experience guiding people on psilocybin travels, journeys,
Yeah.
as well. And currently, we mentioned it already. You are assistant facilitator. I don't know. You are also. I don't know if you are still assistant facilitator at Synthesis Institute. Not
No,
anymore.
I'm not doing this anymore. No.
Okay, but from that experience and working with so many people, having trips and surrounded by this psychedelic world, what would you say? Maybe it's a really difficult situation. Question. What is the most valuable lesson that you got from all this experience that not many people have? Because we gotta remember you live in Amsterdam, and this is now there's some places in America, maybe Oregon, no, and some places, but it's something that it actually never really happened in the modern society. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Yeah, in a way, I think the biggest lesson for me that I learned is that I actually decided like not to be involved in that anymore. Because I feel, it's like the psychedelic experience such a intense and such a fragile state. And especially it's also like the context makes a big difference. So if you create the context where a person's working through their stuff, then they become really fragile and you're responsible for them.
Oh yeah.
So I just felt like, like I don't have enough experience and background and education to kind of be involved in other people's states like that. So yeah, in a way, I don't feel, like I feel like if you want to do it, it's like you should do it with like a clinically trained psychologist or therapist, someone who can actually follow up.
The
And
integration,
like, if you
right?
need,
Also so important and so misunderstood or lost.
yeah.
Do you think people were having threshold experiences where they experiencing improvement in their lives, or maybe after a time they came back, or how do you see in general the people going through that process?
Yeah, it's in some way it's yeah, that's one of the things that was very interesting, that some people who experience this, they have immediate improvement and something clicked, it's like in them, and they figure out what they want to change. But for some reason, for some people, it's different. They actually they figure out what needs to be changed, but it's very difficult for them. They struggle to accept, and they see that there's a lot of work and there are difficult emotions involved. So yeah, in a way, sometimes very often, the best option after such an experience is just to go to therapy and work on the stuff you uncovered. And
yeah, we end up in the same place.
Yeah.
Just go to therapy, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Although it's again, this is one of the things that's easier said than done, because
to go therapy, you mean?
Finding a good therapist
as well. I think that's even more important, right? Like the method, probably.
Yeah, method and a person that you like, a person
not many. That's really difficult, Marta. It's really hard.
Yeah. It's it's really difficult to figure out. You go to a therapist and you have no idea. You're hoping that this person's an expert, but maybe they're not an expert for you.
100%. And also, let's say we're coming from an unconventional, let's say, background. You cannot really go to a therapist and say I saw demons, I saw entities, and reality is just a dream, and whatever things like this is they are not ready to receive you in that sense, even if you are not making sense. I'm not saying that, but just to put themselves into your shoes, it needs I don't know, at least having a certain open-mindedness, or had experiences themselves, right? What is we were talking about before off camera, we were talking a little bit about the situation now with the PSN, the Psychedelic Society. Do you guys have any, are you the only one, how to say, are you in the organization you yourself, or you have a group of, I know you have volunteers. How is the group now? Do you have some people?
I'm actually not that much involved anymore. I'm helping, but we're because we struggled. We couldn't run events during Corona, and we really struggled to come back after COVID. We only had a few events after COVID. And now this year we're trying to revive meetups, because we feel the community is providing a space for community is our kind of biggest benefit. And my friend Claire, she's running the meetups.
All right. Okay, cool. How do you decide, Marta, to go to Amsterdam, actually? Because you are from Czech Republic, right?
No, I'm from Poland.
Poland, yeah. Excuse me. From Poland.
No problem.
How did you end up in Amsterdam, actually?
Oh, wow. I live in The Hague, so I don't live in...
in Netherlands. For me, every expat is from Amsterdam, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I understand, yeah. No, I lived in London, and I moved from London to the Netherlands. It's my ex-partner got admitted to program in The Hague at the Royal Conservatory, so we moved together.
Right. You were happy in London? Did you like it?
At the time, yes, because I was young and had loads of energy. And London was exciting. It's super busy. It's kind of crazy city. So I loved it at the time. I don't think I would.
Maybe not if you come back now, right?
I'm a bit too old probably for London.
Yes, I guess different stages, right? And what brought you to London in the first place? What made you leave Poland?
Oh wow. I kind of as a person that's well, I kind of like in a way, I think a bit differently. I kind of saw myself a bit as an outsider.
In Poland.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
Poland. Yeah.
I
I was
understand.
like, yeah, it was part like more alternative cultures and which, yeah, like it's Poland and alternative culture has like yeah, it's a difficult
Yeah,
relationship where like most of the society it's like not, yeah, they really want you to be like a normal person, you know.
yeah,
um and everything, especially if you're a woman, there's like such high expectations from women,
okay.
that you just need to be, yeah, like nowadays it's like there's a very traditional role, like if you're a woman, like everyone wants you to see in a traditional role,
Mhm.
and but also like there's another like now layer that you should also have a career, so like you're just supposed to be perfect in all areas,
You gotta have
uh,
everything. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And there's not that much pressure on men, you know. It's like men are just, they just have to have a good
really.
job and that's it.
Okay.
uh, so yeah, I was just like, no, I really cannot cope with
It's not your
those
place. Yeah,
expectations, especially that I've always had health issues and I couldn't even if I wanted, I was not physically able to perform, you know, to like just to meet those expectations.
yeah.
So yeah, I just felt like I had to run away.
All right, all right. Fair enough. Fair enough. We're
Yeah.
gonna
But why you lived in Amsterdam? Why did you live in Amsterdam?
why I left Spain, you mean?
Yeah.
I think a little bit like you, like I always felt weird or I don't know, an outsider or something like that.
Hmm.
And I remember actually I used to hate Spain so much. I didn't like the
Right.
music. I used to like the, folk or rock, alternative rock, everything. I love the English people hair and stuff. And I want to be like that. I don't know. And at some point I got the opportunity. I know I went on Erasmus actually to Netherlands, to LRdM
Right.
with the sci-fi.
Wow.
And I spent there a year. I didn't know about well, even psychedelic or the festivals, but I loved it. I like it so much, and I had family also in close to Amsterdam. So when I finished my study, I decided to go again. I never found my place in Spain actually, and I
Hmm.
find like Netherlands or Amsterdam is a place for a lot of people that are feeling that way.
Hmm.
That we
Yeah.
find ourselves like I don't know. It's in a way it's like making our own sense of family when we don't feel it where we were born,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel London's like that also.
Mm.
Yeah. So now you're back into Spain.
Now I'm back,
And
indeed,
how is
for
it?
now. I don't know. It's been really hard, honestly. But yeah, I also felt the need to reconnect with I don't know my roots or with Spain as well. Maybe
Hmm.
as a makeup as well for all the hate that I had. And once I come back more mature, I understand why I had so much hate. But I can see it in a different way, or maybe give it a different meaning, no?
Hmm.
But I definitely don't find my place yet, at least here. No, it's different. Every time I came back from living in Amsterdam, I felt
Hmm.
maybe I came every 6 months or something, and I felt like I was coming back like 80 years or 100 years, in
Oh wow.
society. Yeah, just by being outside and seeing the people
Mm,
walking, and like I don't know, there's something weird. It's the mentality.
yeah.
It's different. It's really
Mm,
different.
yeah. You know, it's interesting. I've been living in the Netherlands for 11 years.
Hmm.
And for a really long time, I also didn't feel like I want to stay here.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, yeah, I was a bit like floating here.
Yeah.
But like during pandemic, I realized, yeah, like I actually do want to be here. So I started to like think about how integrated I am into this society. And yeah, it's kind of, I feel like living here, it's weird because like, yeah, you say like there are people who expats and like people who come here because they don't feel
Yeah.
welcome in their own country and they come here. and they formed those like groups where like, yeah, we're kind of outsiders, but we're not integrated like here into the culture also. So it's like we live
It's
somewhere
true.
like in this country where like we're not integrated into, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Weird.
It's like in a way it's your own bubble, because
Yeah.
I don't know, do you speak Dutch, for example?
Yeah, like not so good. I speak
Yeah.
a little bit, but not so good.
Well, at least if you can speak, but normally I found really hard to make Dutch friends. They speak Dutch, they are in their cycles. I had
Yeah.
some because, they had a Latin American wife or something like that, and they spoke Spanish, or they were more on the expat. But it's not like you go there, I don't know, you don't have like a circle of Dutch friends normally, or maybe
Yeah.
when you are there for a lot of years and you are more integrated, right?
Mhm.
But I totally understand what you mean. Yeah. So let's say you found your place in the end. You realize you were cool there. You liked it. You had the people.
Yeah.
Nice, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm kind of like, yeah, I've like I'm kind of feeling I have a moment when I'm ashamed that's like I live in this country. I have no idea about this country's like like history. Yeah, and I realized like, wow, it's like
History. I mean, it's Netherlands. What history? It was water. No.
yeah, it's like, yeah, this country has lots of I have no idea about it's like everything I know, it's like just like on the surface level, it's like about the culture and like history. And it made me like realize that like, yeah, I ran away from Poland because I didn't like Polish culture.
Yeah.
But I'm in this country where like, in a way, like I don't like Dutch. I mean, I don't know the Dutch cultures too well,
Yeah.
so I don't even know whether I like it or not because I have no idea. So it's kind of like weird, yeah, being in this like weird bubble where
Yeah.
you're trying to avoid any cultures.
Yeah, but it makes sense also because Netherlands. I love Netherlands. Don't get me wrong. Anyone from Netherlands here, but just the culture. I guess Poland, it would be something closer to Spain more than Netherlands. Like Netherlands doesn't have so much depth, and even the cuisine. Dutch people normally they hate the Netherlands food. Is like, yeah, whatever, like sausages or stuff, no. And they have from all over the place, from all over the world, food terms. But then it's not like they have so much. I mean, sorry for Dutch people. I'm not trying to offend.
Yeah.
Yes, I talk with Dutch people, and they also think this. All right, we're gonna have the last questions. I ask on social media, and this one is from Oscar _I7. He said, "Should we take psychedelics just looking for an answer, or let them surprise us?"
Oh wow.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's a great question. And yeah, we touched on this a little bit, but yeah, I feel like the intentions or like context or expectations, however you call it, yeah, it's really important. And psychedelics, in a way, they don't provide like, yeah, it's not like you take psychedelics and it's like antidepressive substance.
Yeah.
They just put you in a state where your brain works differently. And the context shapes that experience. So like if you take psychedelics at the festival, you can just have fun and enjoy music and it's hilarious or something like this, It's like it's totally like it can have like very limited introspective value. But if you, for example, decide it's like I'm gonna do therapy on myself or something, it can push you into like really deep places or like really challenging places. So I would say like knowing this, and people should like really reflect like what I want to do and like not go really deep, because maybe if you go too deep, that's like, yeah, it will be difficult to bounce back. So like understanding that connection, yeah, and I would say it's better to have some idea on the context than just surprise, like prepare yourself, not just go for surprise, because that's also sometimes surprise can be
surprise can be good or bad.
Panic attack. Yeah.
Surprise. Oh, such a surprise. You got an anxiety attack, panic attack. It's a new experience to, to have on Earth. You never got it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So in a way, I think maybe you want to say something like you should have some intention, but maybe don't be attached also to it. I guess not like intention. Because I feel like in a way it would show you can go with whatever intention and later will show you I don't know whatever it wants, right? Or whatever your conscious is going to decide.
In some way, yes, but also you can direct it a little bit. Like that's one of the things that I learned working with people, like assisting people and during their psychedelic experiences, that you can actually the context makes a massive impact, and you can guide yourself into certain like experiences. So I would say in this situation, like have some intention, but really be cautious. What is that intention? Like, do not attempt doing like some deep therapy on yourself, because like even I don't know, even if you know about some stuff about your like therapy, I don't think it's like usually ends beneficially if you try to like dig into your traumas or something like that, because it really like confuse you. You can like try to find meaning that's not there, because it also like somehow like psychedelics can change what kind of meaning you assign to your like experiences and stuff. So in a way, it's like that's why I feel taking psychedelics in like without the experience facilitator, it's very risky, because you can really mess up your like beliefs and what kind of meaning you assign to your life, and
and that's everything, right? You give it another meaning to reality, and suddenly everything changes. Also the power
but it's it's like reality, that's one thing, but even there are like so many people nowadays, they try to do self-therapy, and they take psychedelics and they start to like dig into their childhood experiences. And then they're like, oh my God, I was more traumatized than I was. And they just start to create like, they start to create stuff that's not there. And
also
maybe, it's like they can create anxiety for themselves, because then they're like, oh, these bad things happen in my life. I thought they don't have much impact, but now I see they have massive impact. And that's not always true, it's like that's something that you cannot untangle yourself. You should go to a therapy if you have some issues like this, but trying to untangle stuff like that on your own is very risky.
Love that. It's like the mind has so much power, but if you don't know how to use it, it will use you, right? Totally agree with that. Pues Marta, we're gonna finish here. It's been a pleasure talking to you. We didn't talk about the longevity clinic work that you had. Also, you mentioned about weed for therapeutic usage. We will need to leave it for another time. Thank you so much, Marta. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having
you. And we keep it here. Thank you, people at home, for watching, and see you on the next episode. All right.